Sean Payton was supposed to be like the savior coming in. They had to give up some picks for him and pay him and all that. And, he was supposed to be the guy to turn the ship around. And you get 70 dropped on you. 70! And so it felt so good to be heavy favorites in a game like we were against the Bears and beat them by 31 points. He was like, we have 70. We're going to win. Let's just, run out the clock. Kudos to him. He's better than me because I would have put up 80, right? Especially with all the shit that Sean Payton has talked. Yeah, come on. Anyways. What's going on, everyone? You are listening to the Antonio Chabran Sports Podcast. I am your host, Antonio Chabran, the one and only. You are welcome. And thank you all for being here. I know I missed last week. I apologize. I had a lot of stuff going on with work. We had a huge event. And so I was just really wrapped up with that. It was a really busy week. But because of that, I am going to compensate by obviously having this video come out today, 27th on Wednesday. And then I'm also going to have one for Friday, because for this video, I want to just go over three main takeaways I took from week 3 of the NFL. I also just really want to gloat a little bit that for week 2, because typically what I want to do after each week is go over my predictions and how I did, and then obviously go into predictions for the following week. But since I didn't have an episode last week, I will just go over really quickly how I did for week 2. Spoiler alert, I did pretty well. And then we can just kind of scratch the predictions for week 3 because that already happened. But I can just tell you I went 16 for 16 on that. It was perfect, 100%. But yeah, no, I have a lot of things I want to take away from week 3. And then the episode for Friday, I want to get more in depth with what I think about the Chiefs. I really like how we looked against the Bears. Obviously, I have to take it with a grain of salt because it is the Bears. So there's that. So it's all good. But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to take away from this week 3 of the NFL season is that there were a lot of teams that got humbled. A lot of teams that got humbled in some very dramatic fashions. And the 3 teams that I can think of right off the bat, obviously, are the Denver Broncos, losing 70 to 20. 7-0 to 20. And look, I was on the full Monty Sports channel with Monty Perez a couple weeks ago, and I had talked to him about kind of my AFC and NFC championship matchups. I had said the Chiefs and the Ravens for the AFC championship possible matchup. Granted, this was like 2 weeks ago. Okay, so just, I preface it by saying that. And I said the Cowboys and 49ers. I'm not going to sway with the 49ers Cowboys. I'm not going to do that. I obviously do think that the Eagles and the Cowboys can be a toss-up. But even with how they looked against the Cardinals, which, spoiler alert, that's going to be the second thing I talk about. Again, it's one game. I'm not going to go crazy. But if this is a common trend, then yeah, I'm going to have to kind of budge a little bit on my Cowboys pick and see, and look closely at how the Eagles are looking, obviously. With that all being said, Miami looks really good. They look really, 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 really good. And how I want to go about this, and obviously giving Miami their flowers, the Broncos, and more specifically, Sean Payton got humbled because there was a lot of noise in the offseason for the Denver Broncos. They sacked Nathaniel Hackett, not even his first full season as a head coach. They're like, no, get out of here. Russell Wilson, he was getting a lot of scrutiny. And, it was deserved. He played horribly. But Sean Payton was supposed to be like the savior coming in. They had to give up some picks for him and pay him and all that. And, he was supposed to be the guy to turn the ship around. And he get 70 dropped on you. 70. I think this was a game, and this so far has been a season where it was the worst case scenario for the Broncos. They lose a close one against the Raiders, 17-16. Then the week after, they lose to the Commanders, and who I can't tell are good or not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they got whooped by the Bills, like 37-3 or something like that, and then they just get completely mollywopped by Miami. And there's going to have to be some questions in terms of, okay, what do we do? What do we do? Because I think the relationship between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton has it didn't get off on the right foot to begin with all of the back and forth, um not necessarily direct shots, but they were kind of inadvertent shots at Russell Wilson from Sean Payton. Like, you're not a politician running for office. Why are you kissing babies? You're a football player. And so I think when you look at it from that perspective, you can see that there is a fractured relationship there. And, if you're a head coach and you have a fractured relationship with your quarterback, there's going to be issues. And this is still a really young team. This was supposed to be a defense that was supposed to be, if not top 5, top 10. And again, it just hasn't, you haven't seen the results that you were expecting to see. And look, I have always been a proponent of things are going to take time when you're making big shifts. When Russell Wilson came to the Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett came, everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is the AFC West is going to be the division. It's going to be the toughest division. Will the Chiefs even make the playoffs?" And things that, look, I'm always going to say that just because of how ridiculous those statements were. And Devontae Adams going to the Raiders now, or the Raiders going to be the best team in the AFC West. Another year with, Justin Herbert at the helm of the Chargers, Brandon Staley, and all that stuff. And so, yeah, things take time, and I'm not going to say that I was expecting everything to go swimmingly for the Broncos this season with Sean Payton's first full season as the head coach, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting this, and so that's one team that I can say definitely got humbled. The other team that I can say got humbled as well are the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys. Look, this was a team that loves to talk a lot. This is a team that has had expectations, for legitimate expectations, I'd say, for the past half decade or so, past 5 or 7 years, where they've had a team that was built to either go to the Super Bowl or compete for a Super Bowl, but the Cowboys just do Cowboys things. There are people that are talking about how this Cowboys defense is going to be, the best defense in the entire league, and that was a reason why I put them as NFC Championship contenders, because of their defense and how great they look. But, a lot of people have been saying that when you're not getting your turnovers, and when you're not, having your defense score for you, it shows the lack of scoring ability from the offensive side of the ball. You only put up 16 points against a Cardinals defense that is not good. This is supposed to be a team that a consensus believes that this is going to be a bottom team in the NFL. If not the worst team in the NFL, one of the worst. So, yeah, and I didn't like the fact that, because I know Micah Parsons has a podcast, and he went out and said after the game that they played down to their opponent and didn't take him as seriously. I didn't like that. Obviously, if that's how you viewed the game, okay, but you don't need to announce that to everybody. And it also takes credibility away from the Cardinals for playing a great game. Dak did not look good at all. He looked horrible. There was this one pick he threw in the end zone where he had like 3 defenders on one guy, and I don't know who the hell he was trying to get it to. but it was just a horrible pass. So many people want Dak to do well, and so many people want him to be good and try to put him as a top 10 QB, but he keeps showing again and again that he's just not, and so that's unfortunate for the Cowboys. And then the last team that I can genuinely say got humbled were the Titans. Again, I this is just my opinion. I know nobody has really been like, oh, the Titans are going to be contenders and stuff like that. When I say humbled, I'm coming from a standpoint of where this is a team that needs to rebuild. This is a team that just refuses to be in that category of NFL teams where it's clear that they're at the bottom part of the NFL and just need to start rebuilding. You go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, who in his prime was, if not one of the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. And obviously, he's going to say, he being DeAndre Hopkins, that he wanted to go to a team that was going to contend. He didn't go to a team that was going to contend. He went to a team that was going to give him the most money. That's why. He went to a team that was going to give him the most money, that what he was asking for. There's no way that this team is going to be competing for a Super Bowl. They're just not. You lose 27-3 against the Browns, who have a defense who is an amazing defense, arguably top 5 defense. But, you know, they just have their window, their championship window is closed. It's been closed for about 2 seasons now. The closest they came was against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game in 2020, the 2019-2020 season, when we beat them 35-24, I believe. And yeah, after that, that was it. They kept Ryan Tannehill. I don't know how close they were to getting Aaron Rodgers. Not this past offseason, but the offseason prior, when it was like the Titans, the Broncos were kind of in the sweepstakes to get Aaron Rodgers. But then obviously he just stayed in Green Bay and played another season. Yeah, so from that standpoint, I felt like the Titans got humbled to where they're like, yeah, we just don't have the team to do it. We don't have the team to compete, and we need to rebuild. That's kind of where I stand on the Titans. They had their window; it closed in their face pretty abruptly, and yeah, they just need to face the music because this isn't a team that can compete. And if you want to get a team that compete, you need to stop trying to be respectable and have a 500 record and just blow it all up and start rebuilding. My second takeaway from week 3 is that any team can beat any team in any given week. There were 3 games that had surprising outcomes to me personally. That was obviously the Cowboys and Cardinals. That was the Texans and Jaguars. And then the other one was Colts and Ravens. Look, I'm not saying that the Colts are like a horrible team, but I was expecting the Ravens to win pretty comfortably in that game, especially given the fact that Anthony Richardson was out, so Gardner Minshew was quarterbacking for that game. I was genuinely surprised that the Ravens dropped that game, especially a team that I look at very highly and kind of, I did predict that they would be in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. And so that was surprising to me. It's clear that, look, no matter if an NFL team is that bad, they're still an NFL team and they still have the best football players in the entire world. Seriously. So yeah, I was not expecting the Texans to beat the Jaguars the way that they did. It was like 37-17, like they beat them handily. A Jaguars team that a lot of people thought coming into the season would be some real serious contenders, right? At least, division champions of the AFC South. And the Texans handled them. with ease. And then obviously the week prior when the Chiefs beat them and only held them to 9 points. Shout out to my Chiefs defense. That's right. I'm gonna talk about them on Friday a lot because I have a lot to say about the Chiefs defense, arguably, possibly top 5 defense in the NFL right now. But that's neither here nor there. And then obviously with the Cowboys and Cardinals, again, a team that everyone believes is, if not one of the worst team in the NFL. And you think of the Cardinals and you more so laugh at them than respect them. And that's messed up to say, but it's true, especially given the fact that all of the videos that you see surrounding the Cardinals as of late, I guess, up until they beat the Cowboys, was that their coach is goofy, right? Like from that press conference that everyone was looking at, Jonathan Gannon, he's just goofy. He's that fire in your gut, like that. It was funny, right? It was something that people laughed at, and no disrespect to the Cardinals, but that was kind of what everyone was. That was the kind of light that everyone was looking at them at. And then for them to go out and beat the Cowboys the way that they did, they're like, oh, damn, okay, was not expecting that. But there's always games like that. There's always going to be games like that, and yeah, and so hey, any given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night, um, that can happen. The third takeaway has to do with my Chiefs. We finally beat beat up a team. We finally beat up a team. There have been so many games these past few seasons where we come in as really big, heavy favorites, and we'll win, but it's not convincing, or we'll even lose. Like it was around this time last season where we lost to the Colts. To the Colts, and they were horrible last year. And then we went into overtime with the Texans. We won that game 34-28 in overtime. But damn, and so it felt so good to be heavy favorites in a game like we were against the Bears and beat them by 31 points. At one point, it was 34-0, and I'm just like, oh my God, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chiefs, for beating a team the way that we freaking needed to. Okay? Everyone was saying, this is a team that is not very good, and that this can be a game where the Chiefs kind of get the offense going. And in the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, I hope this isn't a trap game. I hope this is a game that we can just go out and punch them in the mouth and just never look back. And we did. That's exactly what we did. And I was so happy. We put up like 27 points in the second quarter. Like, if that doesn't show you that we're punching someone in the mouth, I don't know what the hell does. But man, I was so happy about that because there have been so many games where we've just dropped the ball. Whether we lost a game that we should not have, or we beat a team, but it wasn't convincing. People are like, oh, the Chiefs are going to blow them out by like 20, and we win by like 3 or 7. Like, no. And so I was just so happy as a Chiefs fan to just freaking give it to them, like that felt good. That felt good because everyone's like, oh, Miami's looking really good. Oh, the Ravens possibly, or the Jaguars, or the Chargers, are they going to be good? Like, no, the Chiefs are still here, bruh. We're still here. Okay? We're the freaking Super Bowl defending champions. Like, come on, So I felt like that sent a serious message. Only putting up 20 points against Detroit in week 1, only putting up 17 in week 2. And the main talk of the Chiefs has been like, oh, their offense is looking, anemic, but the defense is great. And then we come out and we're like, no, our offense, we're still that. We've got Patrick Mahomes, man. We got Andy Reid. We got Travis Kelce. We're built like that. And then our defense is showing up, man. They didn't let up any points until the fourth quarter. And at that point, obviously, the game was over. But yeah, 41-10. Hell yeah, baby, let's go. I felt good, man. And so, yeah, that was my third takeaway, is that the Chiefs finally beat up a team like we should have, right? Obviously, we didn't put up 70. By the way, Miami, it was like 7 minutes left in that game, and Miami already had 70. They definitely could have beat that. I think the NFL record was 72 points. I forget who has that record, but they easily could have beaten that record. And to Mike McDaniel's credit, he was like, "We have 70. We're gonna win. Let's just run out the clock." Kudos to him. He's better than me because I would have put up 80, right? Especially with all the shit that Sean Payton has talked. Yeah, come on. Anyways, yeah, so that just felt good. It felt good as a Chiefs fan to see us beat a team like that in a game that we were favored to win, and we backed it up. Taylor Swift is in the audience cheering on Travis Kelce. That's a whole other topic, by the way, that I won't get into in this video, but maybe a little bit on Friday. But yeah, just felt good. It felt really good as a Chiefs fan to just win a game confidently, concrete from the get-go, without a doubt. Yeah, so those are my 3 takeaways from week 3. Obviously, I will get into more of the Chiefs on Friday. And just really quickly, too, I'll get into let me just give my quick prediction for tomorrow's game. All right, so this is going to be a great game. The Lions and Packers Thursday night, both are 2-1. Obviously, the Packers are coming off of a win against the Saints where they were down 17-0, put up 18 in the fourth quarter to come back and win. I mean, obviously, the Saints had the chance to put the game away with a field goal, and they missed it. So, but again, it was still a great game, a great comeback for Jordan Love and his Green Bay Packers. And then we have the Lions, who are coming off a pretty dominant win against the Falcons, 20-6. This is I think this is going to be the most competitive matchup, the Lions and Packers, that we've seen in some time. Obviously, last season in Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer, they lost that game to the Lions, who, they needed to win that game in order to make it to the playoffs. And the Lions are like, nope, not this season. So you can make an argument for that being one of the most competitive games, if not the most competitive game in like the last like half decade or so. But this is going to be close. I think the Lions will eke this one out. I think it's going to be a very close nip and tuck game. These are both very physical teams, but I think the Lions are just a little bit more physical. I think, they have a lot of confidence on their side. And with any team that's coming off a really big high after scoring 18 straight points and coming back to win 18-17 with the Packers, I think there will be a little bit of a downfall with that. And obviously it's a short week for both of them. But I think kind of with all of that being said, and Dan Campbell, it's just, this is going to be our season where we turn things around. This is going to be our division. I think that's definitely the mentality of the Lions and what they think. But, hey, Jordan Love and the Packers are like, wait. Just because A-Rod isn't here anymore doesn't mean that we're just gone. So there can be arguments made for both sides. I don't think either one way or the other could possibly be the wrong decision. You can make an argument for the Packers winning as well as the Lions, but I'm going to say that the Lions eke this one out, and I'm going to say the final score is going to be 23-21. So anyways, that's my final prediction. We'll see you tomorrow night, and then obviously we'll go over it a little bit on Friday. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for listening, and stay tuned for Friday. I will be back, and I'm going to have a lot to say about my Chiefs because I am very excited about how we're looking right now. Again, I know it was the Bears. I know. But still put 41 on them. Held them to 10. You know what I'm saying? Come on, baby. Anyways, all right. I will see you guys on Friday. Thank you all for listening. Peace.